started. It's about 7 o'clock. Welcome to the November 2025 meeting of the Houston County Historical Society. We'll call the meeting to order. If you will, silence your phones. And we will start off with pledge to the flag led by Ken Davis, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. There's a sign-in sheet going around. Jackie has it in the back. If you have not signed in, please do so. We'll get some credit for being here tonight. Meeting minutes. Is there any questions, additions, corrections on the meeting minutes? If there are no corrections to be made, we will deem the minutes approved. Now we go to the treasurer's report. Leah.
In September, we had income of interest of $1.31 and expenses of $34.49. We have in the money market, we have $2,120 and a penny. The CD is unchanged at $10,396.47.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's
Move to
report?
approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ready. Membership dues. Of course, this is November, October. Remember, the dues are due and payable anytime. They're $10 per household per year or $50 per household for lifetime. Melissa, if you will give us archives and museum update. You all may want to, if you do your presentation, you may want to stand in the spotlights.
Can I do that and then do my, what I want, or give
Yes,
something
well,
else?
let me
Yeah, finish what
let
you
me say one other thing. Sorry for the changes in the speakers, but we will use them next year, and the calendar for 2026 is filling up. And the program tonight that Melissa will start off with is for you, and we'll replace the program we normally have in February when we have questionable cold weather. The girl that was second in line to do the program will be as available in February as our show and tell. So, sorry for the changes, but we'll do a great job. And Melissa.
Okay, excuse me. I think everyone here knows me. The archives is going fantastic. I would, since she's here, I'm gonna point her out. Mrs. Baxter's here, and she allowed me to come out on a very hot day and go through her barn. I ended up leaving with about 5 or 6 totes full of things. That family never threw anything away, which is people we like. And so we're very grateful to Susie for donating what she did between her and her husband, Jerry Baxter's family. We got some fantastic photographs and artifacts and things, so come to the archives. We've got 2 phones. They're from the World War II era that are on display now. So come and see what we have. But we want to thank her. I want to thank her because she's here. She was very gracious to ask me to come, and yeah, it was very hot that day. So the archives is going great. We are receiving donations every day almost of just photographs, documents, history. Today, and I'm at the moment going through some newspapers, online newspapers actually. The Nashville Tennessean, anyone can access the Nashville Tennessean back to about 1812 up to present day on a thing called the Tennessee Electronic Library. And so I like to go on there and see what kind of news items that they reported on for Houston County, because they did. And today, in 1933, I read an article that was about, they were talking about the oldest county court member, which is commissioners today, and he was also the youngest county court member. And what had happened was this gentleman, his name was W.H. Rice, and he was 88 years old in 1933. And he was taking over for Mr. Rye, who either passed away or got off the court for some reason. And so he was the oldest county court member. But his first term was in 1870, and he was the youngest court member at that time. So he had been on the court for a very long time, the youngest and the oldest. So that's the kind of neat information I wanted to find. But one of the things you know that we do is that I get information and alerts from eBay. And I have them set up to look for terms such as Erin, Danville, Tennessee Ridge, things like that. And any kind of items that we might be able to purchase and bring back to the archives. So I have what I call holy grail items. These are things that I really want to get my hands on for the archives forever and ever, that our descendants and people in the community can enjoy. And I have a list of those. And one of them I got. Many of you will know or remember or have heard of Dr. Wagner. Dr. Wagner was a doctor. He was a pharmacist. He produced his own medications. He is known to have produced and invented 27 different medications. And we actually was able to get one of his medicine bottles from eBay. I purchased it from eBay. It came up as an alert, and it wasn't an outright purchase. It was an auction, which means you can bid on it and other people bid on it, auction. Well, I bid on it. It was $19.99. I bid $20. I was the only one who bid on it, so I got it. But this is his liniment. It says his liniment for man or beast. So you can take this yourself, or you can give it to your beast. It says external use only, so I guess you don't drink it. It says shake well. And then it says for the relief of pain caused from sprains, strains, swollen limbs caused from rheumatism, colic, headache, and neuralgia. Apply to parts affected, do not get near your eyes. It cost 50 cents, and it was manufactured at Wagner Medicine Company in Erin, Tennessee. So, and there's still some in there. And so it's really thick, but the top is really crusted shut, which is great because I don't want it to come out. But, so I'm gonna leave it up here. So now I'm on the mission to find the other 26 different medications. I know Miss Pat Mallory has some. I know that Mitch gave her the ones that were in the case at Mitchell's drugstore, because that's her family. Wagner's is her family. But we'll be on the lookout. So my other holy grails that I'm looking for are an Erin Bottling Company bottle. And I'm also looking for photographs of the inside of the Central Hotel. We may have some, but they're unidentified, but we don't believe we have any. And I'm also looking for photographs of the inside or outside of the Houston College. Those are some very rare things, and if we can get them, we'll be very, very happy. So I'll put this over here.
Where was the Houston College?
It was right there on College Street where the Roby House. It was up a little bit further from the Roby House. I know that I can trace the college from the first shovel of dirt, because there's a newspaper article about them breaking ground building it in 1894. And I can trace it all the way up to about 1904, where silence. I don't know if it burned, if it shut down. I have seen some notations of that it probably burned. There was actually a dormitory building built beside of it. It did burn. I found a newspaper article where it did burn. The Roby House was built about 1911. So from 1904 to 1911 is a gap. And I'm looking for records, because it's a college. They would have had administrative records, student records, photographs. The only records that I have are, I have a very large diploma, which this is how I got started researching it. There's a professor at UT Knoxville contacted me and said that his grandmother, or great-grandmother, had graduated from that college. And he had her diploma. She graduated in 1896. Well, after talking with him back and forth, he ended up sending me the diploma and donating it. But yeah, so, and I have newspaper articles where the college is advertised, so, yeah. I'm still working on that. It's still a research project, so. Thank you.
Susan, you want to be next in line?
Oh, you know me, so I'm not gonna tell you who I am. I had two uncles that served in the Second World War. Both of them served under Patton. My Uncle Ray came from Canada, and he drove a tank for Patton. My aunt says he never forgot that he was driving a tank, that he drove the streets of Detroit just like he was driving a tank. When they went into France and liberated France, Dan, Donald, somebody, for some reason the men in that group decided that my uncle deserved this flag that flew over the city. I don't know what city. He didn't talk about the war. He had some very bad experiences. He didn't talk about the war. But this flag flew over some city in France, and my uncle says that when they liberated them, they were the happiest people you've ever seen. And my grandmother, when she saw it, Daddy had it after Uncle Ray had it. You could tell there were holes in it. And my grandmother said, Robert, there's holes in it. Daddy said, Mama, it was in the war. What did you expect? Thank you, Dan. This is going to the archives. My other uncle came from Italy when he was 9 years old, and he came through Ellis Island. And he was Italian. And because he was an Italian, when they liberated war camps, concentration camps, Uncle Mario was asked to be a witness. So don't let him tell you it didn't happen. Uncle Mario was there. So the day he died, he still cried over what he saw. But he said when they went in, that the Germans, he was at Buchenwald. I don't know where that was, but that's where he was. Before he was there, he was at the Battle of the Bulge. And he said, my cousin told me a while back, he said he didn't get cold and freeze like the other guys because he was the cook. So he was inside cooking. So Uncle Mario said that the Germans left everything they had. And he loaded up. My father said that Uncle Mario had just bukus of medals. These are the medals he gave my father. And some of these medals, as we looked at them, date back to the First World War. So Uncle Mario talked more about the war than Uncle Ray did, but they both did a great service to our country, both. And these are going to the archives. I wanted to donate them to Fort Campbell, and I had a friend who said, no, they'll just stick them back someplace. She'll take care of them. So, and I'd like to do a program in the paper about it, because I think they both deserve that. I don't know what Uncle Ray did to do that, but he must have done something good. As I watched Saving Private Ryan, I kept saying, Uncle Ray's on his way. He's on his way. That's good.
What was Mario's last name?
Persicini. I'm sure you've seen both of my uncles, because Mother would bring them to church.
Maybe.
Okay, who has the next? Okay. Susie's a hard ass.
No, my uncles are.
Well, it's the time of year when we're all thinking about the wedding.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And so we're all wondering what kind of wedding we're gonna have. So I owe my presentation to Mitchell Snoopy, because he's the first one that told us about the persimmon seed. So there's an old folk tale about if you crack open a persimmon seed, the shape of the seed inside will tell you what kind of winter you're gonna have. So this is this year's persimmon seed, which my husband kindly took a pliers and cracked open this afternoon, and I take him on this board and I'm gonna pass it around for you to see. So if you have a spoon, it's gonna be, it represents a shovel, so you're gonna have a lot of snow. If it's a fork, it's gonna be a mild winter, and if it's a knife, it's gonna be cold and icy winter because the wind cuts like a knife. So I'm gonna pass this around, and we got all three, so I don't know.
Out of the same tree.
Huh?
Out of the same tree.
So we still don't know.
So we still don't know, but one of the things I looked at on the internet was it said that if you did more than one and you found more than one type of seed, probably what it means is like if you got the spoon first, you're gonna have a lot of snow at the first of the winter. If you got a fork, you know, it's gonna get milder as the winter goes on. So maybe we're gonna have snow, mild, and then icy. So
All in one day.
yeah, you're right. And Ben Franklin said that some of us are weather-wise and some of us are otherwise. So I'm in the otherwise category. But there's lots of myths about how people used to get the weather. And one of the things that they looked at was if there was a large crop of acorns or walnuts, you'd have a snowy or colder winter. If the nutshells were really thick, it was going to be a really bad winter. And it said if you had flowers that have a second bloom in the fall, a lot of times that means it's forecast colder weather. And if the leaves fall early, it's supposed to be a mild winter. If they fall late, it's supposed to be a severe winter. If the squirrels have bushy tails, it's going to be a colder winter. And if they hide their nuts up high, it means you're going to have a lot of snow. And if you see a robin near your house during the fall, it means the winter's going to be colder than normal. And if bees build their nest in a protected area like a shed or a barn or whatever, that means it's also going to be a hard winter. And the woolly bear caterpillar, I'm sure everybody's seen one. So if how wide the little brown stripe in the middle is, that means it's going to be mild. And if it's all black, it's going to be really, really cold. And it says if you have thunderstorms in the fall, that means you're going to have a colder winter. And how you date of the month of the first snowfall place predicts how many times it will snow. In other words, they said that if you saw snowflakes on the second of the month, you'd have 2 snows later on.
Yeah.
Of course, I kind of wonder, you know, near the end of the month, I hope you don't have snow. But that's just a few of the little tidbits that I found. There's yours.
What we've got is a political poster from 1958, and it was on, used as a backing for some pictures that our uncles had down there, and Jackie's interested in everything, so she tore into the picture, and we had 3 of these. Melissa's got one at the archives and everything. They more or less look like they sort of ran together, but you got Ellington and Gore, and then Case Pentecost on that. And I'm gonna pass this around, and that was your Democratic candidates in '58. I think what we found really interesting on that was when they ran, Ellington got 57.54% of the vote. Jim McCord ran as an independent in 1958, got 31.54% of the vote. And Tom Wall was a Republican, and he got 8.31% of the vote. Now, I don't remember, is that common practice on state offices to run as independent, Dan, do you know, or? I know the local, and I think, and even when you were running, did you run as independent? But I was surprised to see that. I thought it would just be the Democrats and Republicans on that. One of the unique things is the Pentecost is tied into the Gore family and also Ned Ray McWhirter. He is a first cousin to Pauline Gore, Al Gore Sr.'s wife, and also a first cousin of Ned Ray McWhirter's daddy, Harmon. On that. And of course, you know, for a lot of the time there, you had Clement Ellington sort of swapped out back and forth as far as the governors over the years, but from what I read, they had a little bit of a falling out in '60. Clement, you know, backed Kennedy, and Ellington backed Johnson on that, so anyway. But that's what we've got.
Anybody want to be next?
I can't.
Okay.
It's a lot of a day.
I have a rolling pin that my grandfather, John William Hughes, made. I have no idea what year. They called him Billy Hughes. And this rolling pin has made a lot of biscuits, a lot of dumplings, probably pie crust, and I still use it to make my dumplings. So if y'all want to look at it, I'll lay it up here.
Is it one piece of wood?
It is. You want to pass it around?
Yeah. We might get some.
Yeah, we could knock somebody in the head with it, so we
I was wondering what I would bring for the show and tell, considering that we've had this off and on for several years. And I looked up, and hanging on my wall was this picture. I don't know the significance of the picture, except it hung in my grandmother's dining room. She died in 1970. I remember it being in her dining room all my life. It's kind of archaic. I don't know how the cardboard survived, but it did. But it seems like I have opened it up and looked, and it just talked about this little girl and her kittens. And my grandmother had kittens. And I don't know if she had a dog like that, but she had kittens. She had a milk cow, and I'm sure she fed the kittens the milk. So,
That's straightforward. Yeah.
okay.
I'm looking to see if I was Google Lensing it. to see
Okay,
if
it
tells
seemed
us.
like, I looked on the back, and I may have dreamed this, that it was a picture out of a magazine, but that looks awful large for a magazine, and I don't see any where it would be centerfold.
It's a print by a guy named James Lee. 402.
Okay. Well, good. Okay, who's next? Get you up here in the line.
Everything we've got old comes from the Smithies. The Carters didn't have everything, I don't think. They had some land out there that land belongs, owns now, but this is a washboard. You didn't know. And it's a national washboard from Memphis and Chicago. And its number was 801. The trademark was made by the USA, and it's a 1940 washboard. It's a rare find. Right now it sells for $22.50. And looking on the internet today, the washboards go up to 175 on up, but this one was a rare one. It's galvanized wood, and it's the Silver King, and it was donated from Mitchell's grandmother, Miss Laura Smithy's mother. So, and on the back it's got the brass king, and it's just the top notch, it says. And this was the soap savings, the sanitary front drain on the back of it. That's it. Mitchell didn't say me that very well, so. Well, it's hanging down on your children now. So it's not, it's,
So it hasn't been used recently.
not for us.
Is there anyone else that has anything to show and tell, or just tell? All right. Like I said, we're working on next year's calendar. We have several people that were scheduled to present this year that has said they would present next year. That's why next year is filling up some. And we hope to have a good turnout. And if there's no other, nothing else that anybody wants to say or do,
I want to congratulate, I thought it was on fairly short notice with some really interesting stuff, and I always appreciate people that bring it.
and thank you all very
Good show.
much.
I just want to encourage everyone to come next month. We're going to have our annual archives meeting. And so I'm going to have a gentleman come and talk to us about old glass and bottles. So if you like glass and bottles, he is a bottle collector, a jar collector. And he is coming to, he's going to be bringing some samples of some of what he has in his collection.
And that date will be the third Tuesday,
Yes,
in
it's a
November,
different
not
day
because of
because of
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
or because of Veterans Day.
Well, Veterans Day, but
Yes.
yeah.
All those days.
All those, November gets a little.
Okay, and we're still planning on having our Christmas feast here,
Yeah.
so.
And the November meeting will be at 6 o'clock. Please bring finger foods, nothing elaborate, but what we normally do. And we'll have a good time. And you can see some of our new stuff in the archives.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
All right,
Second.
all right, we will adjourn.